Good morning, everybody. How we doing? April 15th, 2024. We got a new week, a new slate of opportunities. I'm feeling thankful, feeling grateful, feeling energized, feeling empowered. And I'm excited to take advantage of each and every opportunity this week has for us. My name is Adam Holland, stock options expert market strategist. Most importantly, just proponent of that 1% movement. And that's not all of the money going to the 1%, but us getting 1% better each and every day in any regard that is necessary for us to survive, right? And not only survive, but thrive. We're in a time where things are changing a lot, but nothing that we can't handle, right? I'm a firm believer that we're never given anything that we can't handle. And we live in an exciting time where a lot is changing, but as long as you put your best foot forward, you put in a little bit of effort, right, daily toward making sure you keep up with those changes, you'll find yourself with a lot more opportunity than others. Those that think they're lacking opportunity in life are really those that aren't choosing to move the needle daily in their lives when it comes to learning new things and exposing themselves to new things. Don't wait around for these different potential gold rushes to be used up when there's so much opportunity out there when it comes to markets as well as when it comes to this new AI frontier. So make sure that you know how to use the tools, you're learning how to use the tools, you know how those tools fit within your life to make you the most effective person that you can be, and then roll from there. Right, roll from there. But I'm excited to get into things this weekend. Today we have our most kind of stacked day of the week because we go over the week ahead as well as our Monday specific news. So we lay the groundwork this week on Monday. Right, we have all of that. We get all that information for the week ahead. Where are the landmines? Where are the potential snafus? What are we super excited about? What should we be wary about? All of that is outlined in the Monday session. And then every other day, we go over that day's specific news. So, big day on Monday. I'm excited to get into it. Good morning, everybody. Hope you had an amazing weekend, a fulfilling weekend, one that you can be proud of. And, I declare right now over your life that you'll have an amazing Monday, right? An amazing Monday that you'll choose to make it a great Monday on purpose, regardless of what happens to you. And that you'll continue to crush your goals and live life to the fullest. Was back out there running today, right? It had been a bit, got back on the horse last week, trying to stay on the horse. I feel like there's, always something happening where it's like, okay, I don't have the time, I don't have this, I don't have that. But making that time is key. So sharing little bits and areas in my life where I'm also, making that change. I hope to not only keep myself honest, but maybe push you guys if you're looking to do the same thing. I've got a lot of friends who run and they do the cardio. I want to eventually get into weights as well, but starting off with the running just to get outside for any of my other work from home people. Right. It's really good to get outside daily and be close to nature and breathe like fresh air, not just recycled air. So I'm excited to get out there and do that. I don't know if any of you guys are on Strava, but if you are, find me on Strava. We can connect on there, cheer each other on. My runner friends are busting out 10 miles and 15 miles at a time. I'm not there, but I will throw them kudos. And what am I commenting in the comments? I'm up next, right? Me next. I'm speaking that into existence, putting it out there so they can see me making that progress. And I also feel the burn in terms of pushing me to accomplish that progress. So, I talked about it a lot last week, but I want you guys to know it's something that I put in practice as well and something that really works. Be vocal about what you want to achieve. Be vocal about supporting others. Be vocal, about making, your ambitions known, right? So then you actually start to feel like that person. I'm never going to feel like somebody that can just casually run 10 miles until I say, while I'm still running 2 miles and 3 miles, I'm going to be that person running 10 miles, right? I have to speak that into existence first. So it's the same thing in markets. You see people doing what you want to do. Congratulate and speak that into existence for yourself. Me next. Awesome. I'm a little bit behind, but I'm getting there, right? I'm pushing. And soon enough, you're that person. And you're like, wow, I just busted out 10 miles like nobody's business. That's what we want to get to, right? So there's a huge mental component. And if you say, oh, it's not worth my time, I don't feel like doing it, da da da. Well, then you likely end up struggling with the same things that you continue to struggle with over and over again, right? That have you stalled. Do different things to get different results. Might seem whack, might seem troublesome, might seem tiresome. But at the end of the day, the small things, baby, that's always what makes the biggest difference. So yeah, feeling good, feeling empowered this week, ready to crush it. Our top news when we look into the week ahead, geopolitics will hold the focus of markets to start the week after Iran's attack on Israel. An Israeli military spokesman said the country is prepared to, quote, do whatever is necessary in its defense. Tehran said it would attack with greater force if there was retaliation. So I want to lay out a couple of things first because I know this is the Middle East and everything that's happening is a sad and very contentious subject. I have people and loved ones that are involved and have direct familial relations on both sides. So I don't claim to be any super knowledgeable person on this. And I'm not speaking toward one side or the other. I know that media is often positioned a certain way, right? As far as what I know, there was some type of attack or violation of Iran's consulate. Um, like I forget what it's called, but those things that exist in like an embassy type of thing. I'm thinking that's what it was. There was some type of like defamation or attack or some act of conflict on technically what is like their land, and then they launched these drones and missiles as a response, and then they said that they won't that can be the end of it, and now it's kind of in Israel's corner. That is what I know thus far. Might be right, might be wrong. That's just how I'm interpreting the situation. But it's just important to recognize that even here, right? Because I know people might say Iran's attack on Israel, they were defending themselves. I'm acknowledging, right, everything that I know as I'm reading this in order to try and fill in the blanks. Just know that nothing I say is set out of a place of me being an expert on this. I'm just trying to keep information as honest and arbitrary as possible. So there was a strike back, right? What Iran is saying is a defensive strike or a retaliatory strike, but they don't want to do anything else. And now the ball is kind of in Israel's court. So late Friday saw a flight to safety with money moving from equities to bonds and gold. Still, right? You love seeing what you're in being hammered. Oil also gained on the possibilities of production disruption in the Middle East. The biggest things we've been talking about over the course of the past 2 months, oil and gold. Those are the things that are crushing it, right? So again, the charts tell you, they tell the future. The charts tell the future of what is likely to happen, what's probable. It doesn't always happen, but the news falls in line with the charts, right? Big money wouldn't be moving their money places if it weren't for a reason. Right? There's always a reason behind it, and that's exactly what we're seeing play out here. So don't wait until you hear the news to make the moves because you've already missed out on a lot of the moves, right? Don't wait to hear the news to make the moves. Position preemptively. Now, the economic calendar will continue to garner attention following the recent spate of hotter than anticipated labor market and inflation indicators. Investors will be focusing on the March retail sales report scheduled for Monday and a reading on the U.S. industrial production on Tuesday. Also on the docket will be housing starts and existing home sales data. None of those are seeming like super important. The first quarter earnings season will pick up the pace this week and will grab a bigger chunk of the spotlight. The most notable name reporting quarterly results will be streaming giant Netflix on Thursday. Netflix is always the biggest of the FANG stocks or the big techs because of the light seeping in through there of the FANG stocks to report. It used to be said that they kind of set the precedent, but honestly, I don't really ever see any relation between Netflix and like Apple or any of the other quote unquote FANG stocks. A lot of people say FANG is dead anyways, or Netflix has been replaced by Nvidia. I don't really care. They're big companies. Other major companies across the week include lenders Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and Bank of America. BAC will be tightly tuned in on. Health insurer United Health, ticker UNH, and pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson also report. And other Dow 30 components, Travelers, Procter & Gamble, and American Express. Additionally, the cryptocurrency world will be keeping an eye on the expected Bitcoin halving event this week, I believe. I forget when the exact date is, but you can look it up. Geopolitical tensions in the Middle East will be on traders' minds as well after an escalation in the conflict between Israel and Iran on Saturday. Now, in terms of earnings news and when we have these earnings going on, Goldman Sachs is on Monday, right? Charles Schwab as well, SCHW, and then M&T Bank, MTB. Also reports Tuesday, we've got United Health, UNH, Johnson & Johnson, J&J, Bank of America, BAC, Morgan Stanley, MS, Rio Tinto, RIO, and United Airlines, UAL. Wednesday, April 17th, Abbott Laboratories, Reports ticker ABT, U.S. Bank Corp, Kinder Morgan, Las Vegas Sands, and CSX also report. And then Netflix on Thursday, Blackstone, Taiwan Semiconductor, and Ally Financial, ticker ALLY, and Taiwan Semiconductors, TSM. Earnings Spotlight, Procter and Gamble, ticker PG, and American Express are on Friday. Anything else important going on this week? Let's see. Some investor events, Sony, Sinclair, Fujifilm. Baidu will host its annual flagship AI developer conference on April 16th at the Shenzhen World Exhibition and Convention Center. Maybe they have something that they unveiled that, causes Chinese stocks to push. Again, what's tough with them is that, all this stuff happens overnight. So you kind of place the trade and then you wake up and see what happens. Let's see. Mm-hmm. All right. DD Global. So in case you missed it, there's some other things that happened as well. Small business optimism hits 11-year low. Paramount, I feel like it should be hitting 11-year highs. Like small businesses, this is the time for small businesses because of what AI is doing. It makes it so much easier to be a small business owner as opposed to not being a small business owner. It allows you to wear like 10 different hats at once, and really with low to no coding, education, be able to do a lot of different things, making videos, making graphics, making websites, making funnels, making like customer nurture, segmentation, all of that stuff, customer segmentation, like all of that stuff is becoming so much easier with AI, and there's a tool for literally everything. So I don't know why the optimism is low. If I'm just starting a small business, I'm like, okay, thank God, because I can do a lot of these things myself. Um, Paramount directors said to seek exit as merger talks continue. Celsius, Starbucks, McDonald's, and ELF Beauty stand out in a survey of teenagers. Enterprise Products wins U.S. approval to build Texas oil terminal. Raymond James says NVIDIA spending pause concerns unwarranted. Meta reveals its latest custom-made chips for AI workloads. Taiwan Semiconductor gets up to $11.6 billion in U.S. grants, and then DD Global looks to mass-produce robo-taxi vehicles in 2025. Now, let's also double-check the economic and politics calendar at marketwatch.com, because we'd rather be safe than sorry. Monday, what do we have happening? U.S. retail sales at 8:30 a.m. So that came out. Business inventories at 10 a.m. Home builder confidence index at 10 a.m. So there might be like two things at 10 a.m. that can cause some volatility. Just be aware of that. It's not necessarily big things, business inventory and home builder confidence index, but it's just like if you see something that's like bloop bloop right at 10 a.m., just think, okay, it might have been that data there, as opposed to just being like, oh, the market just had some random volatility. I hope it doesn't happen again. You want to know what it could be. Tuesday. We've got members of the Fed speaking this week, but it's before the market opens. We do have Powell on Tuesday at 1:15 a.m. So, it'll be important to do. I'm sure that they'll go over it in tomorrow's newsletter, but realize and recognize what capacity that he's speaking in. Is it pre-written speech? Is this off the cuff? Will there be Q&A? All that will factor in, but that's why we check this calendar too, because that was not in, the Seek Me Alpha newsletter about what's going on this week. So Powell speaking tomorrow at 1:15 a.m. Very important. Very, very important. So tell your voice assistant, right? Wednesday, April 17th, tell her to remind you. Wednesday, April 17th, nothing really. Thursday, initial jobless claims. Few members of the Fed, none of them speaking during market open. Existing home sales at 10 a.m. U.S. leading economic indicators at 10 a.m. We've got Raphael Bostic, who's the Atlanta Fed president, who's speaking at 11 a.m. on Thursday. But knock on wood, he hasn't really moved the needle in the past for markets. So it's mainly kind of this like 10 a.m. news intermittently, really on Thursday when we get the leading economic indicators, and we get some today. But Powell tomorrow at 1:15. That seems like the biggest thing thus far. Friday, Goolsby speaks at 10:30 a.m. Yeah, so Powell at 1:15 on Tuesday seems to be kind of the biggest bump in the road here this week. So make sure you're aware of that. Write it down on a notepad. Tell your voice assistant to remind you. Do whatever you need to do, right? But make sure that you're aware that he will be speaking at 1:15 p.m. tomorrow. and to kind of adjust your game plan accordingly. Now let's get into our Monday specific news here. All right, so are these like on? It's funny. Okay, so top news: time to hedge. The market reaction to Iran's unprecedented strike on Israel has been contained so far as the region's path to an all-out war seems to be contained. Parentheses so far. More than 170 drones, as well as 150 cruise and ballistic missiles, were launched on Saturday by the Islamic Republic. Though 99% of the aerial threats were shot down by Israel and its allied coalition partners. Quote, we will exact the price from Iran in the fashion and timing that is right for us, Jerusalem declared following the attacks, while Tehran said that such an event would be met with, quote, would be met with a, quote, decisive and much stronger response. Yeah, so while this seems to be contained so far, it doesn't seem like it's going to die. Again, this seems to be a recurring theme where it's like, regardless of who, there's kind of back and forth as to who started it being whatever conflict, right, is brewing and continuing to escalate, but the other side, kind of resolving to be the one that finishes it, which doesn't lead me to believe it's done anytime soon. If Israel said, yeah, this happened with us violating, you guys consulate or whatever, and then you guys sent these, pretty much out of obligation, sent these missiles back. I don't think they did. They didn't do anything that they knew wouldn't get shot down, but I just think that it's kind of out of like obligation, just due to like accords that have been set in the past, like NATO accords and all that other stuff. Like there are certain global rules in place where if you violate, or do some certain act on an embassy or a consulate, then you pretty much have to respond. So it's like one of those things where we can dead it now or we can continue it. So we'll see if it continues or if it ends up getting finished, right? Maybe Israeli leadership also just says, yeah, we're going to strike back. And then they just let it die down and it blows over. We'll see. Flashback: since the Gaza war erupted on October 7th, 2023, Israel has been fighting Iranian proxies on multiple fronts, including Yemen's Houthis, who have disrupted shipping in the Red Sea, as well as Iranian-backed forces in Lebanon, Iraq, and Syria. Iran attributed its strike on Israel as retaliation for an alleged Israeli airstrike on April 1st that killed several senior IRGC commanders in Syria, which leveled the consular building adjacent to Iran's embassy in Damascus. Over the weekend, Iran also seized an Israeli linked cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz, which is a key route for the oil trade. One of the reasons why oil continues to pay us, right? Oil and gold. People get scared, they dump money in gold. They get scared when war happens. War in the Middle East means they can get tougher. In order to get oil here, that means higher gas prices, so oil goes up. Israelis spent Saturday night in safe rooms and bomb shelters while the Home Front Command instituted limitations on public gatherings and other restrictions through Sunday. Those have so far been lifted, suggesting that immediate retaliation in the form of a direct strike on Iran won't be the clearest path of deterrence. President Biden has also vowed to continue helping Israel defend itself, but the U.S. won't take part in a counter-offensive in a bid to prevent an all-out regional war in the Middle East. A coalition will likely be established instead to isolate Iran diplomatically with the aim of putting the war back in the shadows. Okay. They're kind of just like, hey, nobody talk to that guy and we just won't act like this war is going on. Take the win. Some thought that the moves would shake up equities, oil, gold, or shipping stocks, but it appears that investors are taking the off ramp. In fact, many of those asset classes and sectors made an unexpected U-turn as the active situation was digested instead of the risk on rally or sell off that might have been anticipated. More pressing to Israel is also the threat of an Iran backed Hezbollah in Lebanon, which has prevented around 100,000 of its citizens from returning home, as well as winning the war against Hamas in Gaza. So, yeah, a situation that is already sticky and just continues to get stickier and stickier. Just believing and praying for least loss of life as possible, and that there can eventually be, peace in an area where there just is so much kind of pain and seems to be like so much kind of blame and things that are tossed around. You just hope at some point that generations don't continue to get wiped out. But we'll continue to keep tabs on this, right? It's something that's happening in the world. Of course, if we could stop the war, I think we all would, right? I can't speak for you guys, but I think we all would if we could. We can't, but we can make sure that the issues that happen because of it do not affect our ability to put food on the table. What I don't want is your war to become my war and a war for me to put food on the table. So what am I going to do? Make sure I do everything in my power to protect me and mine, right? And for my people who might have more direct relations, right, then you doing this will allow you to send money back, right? Do what you can do on your end, but taking advantage of the gold rally, right, the oil rally, all of that can be leveraged to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish because there are tons of people who are like, um, wanting to make change. You can put your money where your mouth is, leverage this market run, and send that money to people in need, right, who need it in these war torn regions. That's the way that you can make some real change if you're looking to make it. In terms of tech news, iPhone slump. Android popularity is growing, with Samsung reclaiming the crown as the top smartphone maker from Apple amid a slump in iPhone shipments. That's according to the International Data Corporation, which also showed that Chinese brands are gaining ground, with Xiaomi taking the third global spot. Recall that iPhone sales in China have already taken a hit as Huawei regains its foothold in the market, briefly entering correction territory. Apple shares have fallen 8.3% year to date, with its market cap shrinking from nearly 3 trillion to 2.73 trillion. In terms of Outlook news here, give me an extension. Tax day is officially here, which can have big consequences for individual investors who sold assets held in taxable accounts. Check out Seeking Alpha's historical Q&A to some of investors' most common tax questions, including how stock sales and dividends are taxed, how and which cryptos are taxed, and a brief explanation of the wash sale rule. The latter prevents investors from gaming the system by selling a stock at a loss for a deduction and then buying back the same stock the next day. So definitely look into that if you're, involved in markets. I'm not a tax expert at all. Got people that handle that, but if you need to, if you need more information, check that out. Seeking Alpha's got a great article, some investors' common tax questions. So you can search that up on their website. Automotive news, layoffs in FSD, full self-driving. Tesla is slashing the monthly subscription price of its full self-driving package to $99 per month from the prior monthly rate of $199 in what appears to be a shift in strategy from the EV giant. The automaker recently required that all customers take an FSD demo drive and offered an existing Tesla owners one free month of the driving assistance system or driver assistance system. Tesla deployed the AI-powered FSD V12, but the upgrade is still far from full autonomy, with the package now being called FSD Supervised. The company has been under pressure recently and just confirmed it would lay off 10% of its global workforce. Global workforce, right? Not within the US. So once again, make sure your money's working for you in markets. Make sure you know how to use AI. Those are the two things. Like if you say, I don't know what to do, I feel like things are getting away from me, I don't want to be the one that's laid off next, da da da. Don't worry about that. You can't worry about whether or not you're going to get laid off. You can worry about how much value you bring to the position currently, right? And what can help you do that? Being more productive, right? Um, Meeting deadlines even quicker, getting quotes out even faster, helping customers, creating less friction within the company, helping the company accomplish its goals, right? You bringing unheard of tools and resources to the company because you're just that in the loop. That's how you make sure that you're not on that short list of layoffs. Um, so learn markets, learn AI. Those are the two things where it's just like, that's what I'm hammering home all of this year, probably next year, and the next 10 years, 20 years. Is just you do those things and you address root issues. I'm a big proponent of not having to address 30 things on my plate. I can just address one or two and it addresses all the other 30 things, right? Because you might have all this stuff to do, but you figure out a tool that allows you to get all of it done very quickly, right? So it's like I continue to search and to learn, and that takes stuff off of my to-do list and gives me less anxiety. In terms of today's markets, we're looking mixed in Asia. Japan down 0.7, Hong Kong down 0.7, China up 1.3, India down 1.1. London, we're down 0.4, Paris up 0.8, Frankfurt up 1%, the Dow up 0.3, S&P up 0.5, NASDAQ up 0.6%, crude down 0.7, gold down 0.2, Bitcoin up 3.3% to 66,671. Business inventories and housing market index at 10 a.m. Keep an ear out for that. What else is happening? We'll finish up here with our rapid fire stock news rundown, baby. 910, not too shabby. General Electric set to sell its famed Crotonville campus. Alcoa, ticker AA, rises as sanctions are slapped on Russian metal trading. Google blocks California news as journalism law looms. Here's how much Microsoft-backed cyber firm Rubrik plans to raise. Wow, butchered that. Let's start from the beginning. Here's how much Microsoft-backed cyber firm Rubrik plans to raise in IPO. Shout out to Rubrik. We got a few, Rubrik people in the stock options made easy community. Johnson and Johnson, ticker J&J, cough syrup recall classified as most serious in South Africa. What the heck, Johnson and Johnson? Get it together. First the talcum powder, now the cough syrup. Minimum wage, California's fast food chains weigh options after AB 1228. FTC leans toward lawsuit to block Tapestry's $8 billion purchase of Capri. Salesforce, ticker CRM, in talks to buy data management firm Informatica. I wonder if that has any underlying AI tones. Coinbase, ticker Coin, asks court to weigh in on definition of investment contracts. And then June rate cut could be a mistake, says former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. Well, thank you for your input, Larry. We'll make sure that it is duly noted. But listen, guys, I'm excited. We got a new week ahead of us, right? You're here. You're powered up. You've got your landscape laid down. We know we got Powell tomorrow at 1 p.m., 1:15 p.m. Let's execute. Remain patient. It's earnings season, right? So make sure that if you're in a trade, you look at, kind of neighboring big names, make sure that they're not reporting anything that can throw you off, right? And let's continue to execute, right? Control what we can control and get 1% better. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited too. Let's crush it this week. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.